This Welcome, everyone. This is our first installment of Berkshire Education Now. This is a show created with Quinn Burnell from Lee Public Schools and myself to highlight superintendents and the work that they're doing and any education student-driven activities. So with that, we are so lucky on a Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock to have 4 of the South County superintendents join us in the middle of a very chaotic time. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Quinn, and he's going to run through the introductions.
Alrighty, hi there everyone. My name is Quinn Burnell. I am a junior at Lee Middle and High School, and it's a pleasure to be with you all today. We'll do a little bit of introductions. We'll start with Dr. Cameron.
My name is Bill Cameron. Excuse me. I'm the superintendent of schools in Lenox. Lenox is a district with approximately 800 students. It's a K-12 district, and we're trying to figure out exactly how to restart an educational program we're very proud of.
All right, and up next we have Dr. Dillon.
Great. I'm Peter Dillon. I'm the superintendent of the Berkshire Hills Regional School District and the Shaker Mountain School Union. All together, it's about 1,500 students that I get to work with and support.
All right, and we have Miss Regal-Buto.
Great job. Good afternoon. I'm Beth Regal-Buto. I'm the superintendent of the Southern Berkshire Regional School District. We service just under 700 students, K-12, and thank you for having me today.
Of course, and we'll finish off with Mr. Richard.
Great, Quinn, thanks so much. Mike Richard, superintendent in the Lee Public Schools. We service approximately 700 students in a pre-K to 12 district, and as Dr. Cameron noted, together we're all trying to figure out what does education look like for all of our students right now in the spring of 2020 as we navigate these unprecedented times.
Right, definitely. Well, thank you all for being with us today. We really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and start with our first question, which is just what's your general take on the COVID-19 crisis and it having to do with, the public education system in our county? We'll start off with Dr. Cameron.
Thank you, Quinn. I have never seen anything like this before. What this reminds me of, and I've only seen that at a distance, is what happened, for example, in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. There was physical damage there, which was profoundly disruptive of the educational programming in New Orleans. We don't have the physical damage, but we are closed and are likely to be closed for the rest of this school year. And trying to figure out on the run, as it were, what we can do to get educationally valuable programming back up and running on relatively short notice is a real challenge. I'm sure we're all working on it, with our staffs and trying to engage teachers and so forth. But it's I've never seen anything like this before, and I've seen a lot of things in my life. This is not one of them.
Right. These really are truly, unknown times. Well, thank you. Dr. Dillon?
Yeah, it's hard to follow Dr. Cameron. Obviously, these are uncertain times. I think the hopeful thing that's coming out of it is people are coming together and figuring out ways to support each other. And I hope as sort of he was saying, but as we change the wheels on the airplane, as the airplane's taking off, the way we're going to be successful is by coming together around all these challenges.
Definitely. I agree. Ms. Regal-Buto?
Sure. I don't like following any of these people. I am newer to the game of the superintendency, and I keep saying I'm going to get the hang of this, and I think I'm never sure I'm going to get the hang of this. It is like nothing I've ever seen. It's totally unprecedented. I think what I'm most grateful for is how amazing everybody has been, from the administrative team to the school community, in coming together and figuring it out, because none of us have the answers. And when you know, everybody has just been willing to jump in and figure it out together. And you can see we're all here on a Sunday afternoon because it's so important to us to make sure that we get this right and that everybody's safe and well. So, you know, there are no words. I just hope that we're doing the best we can to support everybody.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Richard, what's your take?
Quinn, thanks. So, you know, I think it's interesting. We always talk in education about the fact that we're trying to prepare students for jobs that don't exist yet. And I think about us and how we're going to manage to do that now, and how as well-trained as all of us have been, we're now trying to accommodate the unknown in so many different ways. And COVID-19 has really brought great minds together to think about creative problem solving. But from my seat, what I've been most impressed by is the way that the communities in South Berkshire County have really come together, pulled together, worked with each other to make sure that we're sharing resources, sharing ideas, that we're collaborating to meet the needs of students and families who are all being impacted by this. So our primary responsibility is always to our students and our staff, but I'm finding all of us branching out and really working with other stakeholders in our communities each and every day to make sure that we're taking care of each other.
Definitely, definitely. I was watching the Lee School Committee, one of the Lee School Committee meetings from a couple weeks ago, just last night, and it's kind of crazy to, you know, see where we were, you know, 2.5 weeks ago versus where we are now. And just from my personal standpoint, I can really see all the hard work and dedication that you guys have put into putting in, you know, a plan and making sure that us students really do feel cared for. And we all really, really do appreciate, you know, seeing where you guys are coming from. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Wadsworth for our second question.
Excellent, Quinn, thank you. It's hard to follow you. So one of the questions that we have is, what is the plan going forward? What will education look like in your prospective districts for the next 6 to 10 weeks? And so, and I realize that is that's an on-the-fly answer, question and answer. So we'll start with Dr. Cameron first.
Well, what we're going to do is going to depend basically on what the faculty is prepared to do. We have a number of classes, especially at the secondary level, where various things like Google Class have been used sporadically by teachers. What we're trying to put together is K-12 programming. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education wants to refer to it as remote education as opposed to online education, because they think it gives more flexibility to what the solutions would be. But what we need to do is work closely with the building principals and with the teachers. We have no curriculum department in Lenox, so it's basically the central office staff, the principals, and the teachers who are going to have to come up with online interactions, and we're going to have to accommodate a number of really challenging student subgroups, students with IEPs, very young children, and I know everybody is going to be facing these same issues, but we have to provide not only regular education, but we have to make sure there isn't anybody left behind because of lack of access, because of special needs that they may have educationally that are going to be very hard to meet online. So it's going to take some ingenuity. I'm fortunate, and I think we probably are all in agreement on this. We're fortunate in having creative and very dedicated and skilled faculty to rely on in making these programs work. But where we are is still a work in progress.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Cameron. Dr. Dillon, could you tell us what Berkshire Hills is planning?
Yeah, I'm going to echo a little bit of what Dr. Cameron shared. To date, we've been focusing on a couple things. We wanted to address the food insecurity issues first and make sure kids and families are getting fed. And I think we've done a good job of that, and people are taking advantage of that. So I'm happy about that. And I'd like to thank our food service people and our community volunteers who've helped out there. The next thing we've been focusing on the last 2 weeks have been around reaching out to all the kids and families, regular communication, staff, counselors, all sorts of people checking in and making sure people are okay. And I think those relationships are going to drive a lot of the work going forward. And the next thing we're doing is really pivoting towards this shift in educational approach that Dr. Cameron's talking about. And it's heavily dependent on teachers and paras and principals coming up with great ideas. Some of it will be online, some of it will be home. A while ago, and there's tons of stuff on the internet, and we're probably all preoccupied with it, but somebody posted something about 10 years from now, when we look back on this, they won't remember what they learned, but they'll remember how they were treated and how the context was. And I think that's a really important thing. So we're going to try to set people up for some academic growth, but we also want to set people up to live balanced and productive lives. And this is a super stressful time, right? People are losing their jobs, there are issues around food, there may be issues around rent or homelessness, on and on and on. And then on top of all of that, you put 2, 3, 4, 6 people in a home all together, not going out much, and that gets complicated too. So there's academic work, but there's work around relationships and how we thrive through all of this. And with a little luck, the weather gets better and we spend some more time outside, appropriately socially distanced.
Thank you so much. Now, Beth, I can't say your last name because I mess it up. So
Totally
Beth,
fine.
Superintendent Beth, could you
Yeah, no
tell us
problem.
your plan for Southern Berkshire?
I think it's very similar to what my colleagues have said. We started first with safety and well-being and making sure that people had enough to eat, that there are counseling supports available, that people felt secure, that they knew they had a job, that we were working to keep this moving forward in whatever that looked like. And then we moved to more of a stay well and here's some enrichment types of opportunities that people can do together at home in a variety of ways. But I feel like the important thing that we have to recognize that we're dealing with, at least, and I'm sure everybody else is the challenge of connectivity and accessibility and equity. And for us, that has been at the forefront of every plan or discussion that we've had. And when I reach out to families, the very first thing we're doing is connecting with each and every one of them. Where are you? Is everybody okay? What can we do to help? What accessibility do you have? Do you need a device? Do you need something? So we've been doing, that's been our main focus. And then we're really working towards, like everybody else, what is this quote remote learning plan going to look like over the next however long? So that again is dependent on faculty and staff and what they're comfortable with, because the reality for us is that it's going to have to be something that's a combination of online and something that's manually put together, because there's no way to meet all those wider requirements. And we do want people to stay healthy and well, so it's not going to be this driving, exact educational day that we've been having before. So it's a balance and a work in progress, and it's kind of exciting work and incredibly challenging. So I'm looking forward to working with the faculty and staff and building that plan going forward.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Mr. Richard from Lee Public Schools.
Andrea, thanks. So, the focus for me from the get-go back to March 13th, when we first let our faculty and our students know that we were taking, at that time, a 2-week hiatus, was to focus on mental health, that it's very important that our students, our communities our staff are very much in tune to a routine around school and what that means for everyone. And so my message to the faculty was, make sure you're reaching out to your students and your families and letting them know that you're here for them emotionally and educationally as appropriate, so that they have that connection, they maintain that connection, because I know that educators are such an important point of contact for our students each and every day, from the youngest, our pre-kindergartners, right up through our seniors. They build connections, they build relationships, and it's important for us to make sure we maintain them. Since the 13th, as we've continued to watch the plan change, I've made sure that our community knows that our plan is subject to change and has to be fluid. So we have set up systems where we are adapting to families who have online availability. As Beth points out, we know we have a number of families who don't have connectivity and may not have devices. So next week we'll be handing out Chromebooks to families who are in need of them, so that they can access the internet. We also make sure that we remind families about connecting with internet providers, because we know that there's a responsiveness on the part of businesses to provide some free access for families who may be in need. But we also realize all too well that in the Berkshires, you could have the best plan in the world, but if there is no connectivity where you are, we've got to make sure that we provide some more traditional resources. So we've been printing resources for students to put in their hands. And my hope and expectation is that somewhere down the line, our libraries maybe get a chance to open up on a limited basis, so that some of our students can begin to access some print resources on a more regular basis. But, to Dr. Cameron's point and Dr. Dillon's point about the subgroups that we're trying to service, our English learners are certainly going to struggle. Our students with identified special needs are going to struggle. So we need to try to support them as best we can. My concern is what are the longitudinal effects of this break in schooling. And so we're going to be able to get students moved on to their next school year, and that's going to be all well and good. But in 5 years or 10 years from now, what are the effects of this break in schooling going to be on our student population? Obviously yet to be determined, but I'm sure that there are minds much brighter than mine at research colleges and universities who are digging into this to start analyzing what the effects are going to be.
Awesome. Thank you, all of you, for those answers. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Quinn for our final question.
All right. So for our final question, we have, how do you feel about the current senior class and the accommodations moving forward? Like, what's the plan, for students who, potentially this is, the end of their high school career? We'll start off with Dr. Cameron.
Thank you, Quinn. I really have to confess, we don't have a solid plan in place for what to do with seniors. Part of what we have to do is not just provide sound educational activities for these young people. We also have to find some way to celebrate their completion of their high school careers as they move on to whatever they're going to after high school. And my own inclination is to try to find out what the seniors themselves would see as an appropriate way. Now, there may not be anything close to unanimity of opinion about that, but I do think that we're going to have to involve the seniors in deciding what we're going to do, so that they don't just leave as of the 13th of March and that's the end of everything having to do with high school for them. We've wiped out, it looks like, athletic activities. We've wiped out significant field trips and events at the end of the school year that seniors traditionally have been involved with. They're almost certainly not going to take place. So I wish I had more details, but I need to talk to a lot more people before we decide what we're going to do.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Dillon?
Again, I'll echo what Dr. Cameron said. I really like the idea about reaching out to seniors. I think it's important we provide them with at least 3 opportunities and maybe more. One is some celebration of all the hard work that they've done, whether it's academic, athletic, social, extracurricular, however you want to slice it. I think that work should be honored. I think a big thing for our seniors also are the community scholarships that happen. So some way to recognize them through that. And then a really important part of senior year is creating some social time, whether it's a prom or something else. So I don't know what that's going to look like going forward. I know many universities are planning virtual graduations, and that's sort of okay, but it's sort of a ripoff. So maybe we do that in the short term to stick a Band-Aid on it, and then a little later when the public health people say it's safe, we get together. But I think those 3 things, the graduation, the celebration of their work through scholarships or other things, and then some time for them to be social. So this might be the year that we do a big barbecue for the seniors in August instead of what we typically do in early June. But time will really tell on this, and hopefully seniors who are watching this or their parents can share some good ideas with all of us about that.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to, really, take into, your thoughts about not only just the academic part of it, but really, celebrating their entire high school career. Thank you. Ms. Regalbuta, what's your take on this?
So I think it's super important. And I just had a conversation with Mr. Carpenter, who is the secondary principal. And we have a variety of ideas we're kicking around as ways to honor seniors and their entire, school experience, whether it's on a personal basis, some kind of social media type of shout outs, something that is more personal in a way. And I'm really open to having the conversations about making sure that those prom or graduations or those types of activities happen if they can later in the summer, if that's where it has to be. So I think I want to stay really open to that. And like everybody else said, I need to hear from them. I want to hear from them what we can do to celebrate their achievements over the last 12 years. And I have a niece who's a graduating senior, and I'm hopeful that we can all find ways to really celebrate their experience, because this isn't what I think everybody was hoping for during this time. So more to come, of course.
Right. Well, thank you. Mr. Richard, what are your thoughts?
Quinn, thanks. It's been very important to have, Principal Briganti at Lee Middle and High School has communicated this week with the seniors to make sure that they know that one way or the other, we're going to have some form of a graduation ceremony for our seniors. We think that that's a rite of passage that they deserve, and we need to make sure that we can meet. When that happens is yet to be determined, but we're going to make sure that we provide those opportunities for students to come together. The important points that others have made about these what is the social component to a senior year is really important. We need to make sure that students do have a voice in how we do this. I'm considering ways for us to highlight a student of the day as a member of the senior class between now and the end of the school year, where we can call them out on social media and give them an opportunity to upload to our website a message that they want to share to our community, so that they can be a part of this in a way that's obviously safe and appropriate. But we're going to be creative, and I appreciate hearing Dr. Dillon talk about barbecue, and maybe it is in August, and Thanksgiving, we know, is always a time when classes come together, and I can only imagine what that celebration is going to look like for members of the class of 2020 this year, as they all come back from college or work experiences or perhaps service in the military, whatever they might be doing. But we're going to make sure we stay in tune and in touch with them to support them again, not just academically over these next couple of months, but socially, emotionally, psychologically, so that they can make the most of their senior year. We all know it's a special time, and we've got a role and a responsibility to do our part in that.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you all for being with us today. I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Wadsworth to close out today.
Thanks, Gwen.
This is so much fun. It says you are muted. Welcome to technology and how we're living. So thank you all for doing this. And thank you for being the leaders in our community. The 4 districts that represent you right now in this video that the public will see are the 4 leaders that are going to take your children through this. And we're very appreciative, Quinn and I, for your leadership. So something fun, I didn't tell you we were going to do this, but as I'm sitting here and my husband walked by and said, "What are you doing in the corner?" With technology and the fact that we have to communicate remotely, quickly tell us all where you are right now. I'm in the corner of my living room. Quinn?
I am facing a random wall in my bedroom.
Okay. Dr. Dillon?
I'm in my son's bedroom that has good Wi-Fi access.
Dr. Cameron?
I have a little office in our home, so that's where I am.
Perfect. Superintendent Beth?
Well, I am in my brand new bedroom, hiding from all the rest of the noise in the house. So
Wonderful. And Mr. Richard?
I'm just sitting at the kitchen table here. Nothing too exciting.
Excellent. Well, thank you. It's a new way for us to connect with each other, and it was heartwarming to see all your faces today. So I appreciate that on a personal level. With that, this is this new show Quinn and I have come up with, and help me, Quinn.
Elias.
I want to call him Elias. And you will see Elias next time. We're going to do a segment on college, and we hope to talk to the college presidents and what that looks like for the college students right now and their quick change. And so we hope to do this more. And I would invite all of you back to connect with the community again. And we can do this as many times as you'd like, because there are people who don't have internet. And this is a way for them to see you and your faces and your leadership on the TV. So with that, I thank you all for meeting on a Sunday afternoon.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay,
Be
be well,
safe.
everyone.
Thank you, Quinn.
Have a good
Great
one.
job.
Take care.